It was early July when a friend and I purchased 11 grams of potent mushrooms and decided to eat them all that night. My friend opted to only eat 5 grams since it had been so long since he had done them. It started out like any other trip. We spent a few hours before preparing for the voyage. We made sure that our stomachs were pretty much empty so that the psilocybin is the only thing digesting in our stomachs, making the trip much more enjoyable. Also, we ingested these Amazon fruit popsicles that contain about 2.3% vitamin C. About an hour before we took the mushrooms, we meditated in a quiet room. At about 7:15 p.m. we ingested them. I ate 6 grams and he ate 5 grams. We started to watch a very strange kung fu movie to pass some time before we started tripping. After about an hour, we both noticed we were feeling very strange and that the trip was definitely going to be awesome. When it started getting strange, we went outside to have a cigarette, and all of the trees and bushes were a lot more colourful, and everything seemed so different. We were thoroughly enjoying ourselves, so we went inside and down to his basement to listen to some music. After a little while, at about 9 p.m, my friend had these snowboarding boots on and started talking to himself. After tripping with the kid at least on 30 other occasions, I thought this was just normal. He continued to talk to himself, and he seemed like he was in his own little world. We went back upstairs to watch more of the movie, and that's when things got very out of hand. My friend went outside, and I didn't bother to go out after him because I figured he was just going for a walk or something. After about 10 minutes, or so it seemed, I went outside and saw all of the car doors open, a bike in the driveway, dirt thrown everywhere, shovels, flags, and anything else you would find in a garage was outside in the driveway and the front lawn. I started freaking out and telling him to calm down and that he is attracting way too much attention. By this point, he was completely incoherent and wouldn't stop talking to himself and walking around. I later found out from some neighbours that he had been scaring their little kids and was caught by another neighbour trying to steal beer from their garage. So now I had no choice but to sit him down in the car and chill out. He kept opening the door and refusing to let me calm him down. Eventually, we started moving, and I don't even know how that happened. I instantly stopped the car and threw him inside the house. I was explaining to him the seriousness of what he was doing and how easily we could get arrested for his stupid behaviour. The scary thing was that he couldn't understand me. The only thing he could understand was his name. He kept touching things and licking them and appeared to be confused. Now he started to throw things around his house, breaking mirrors, the stairs, and just throwing things everywhere. The house looked like a tornado had gone through it. I started bugging out, and I told him I was leaving because I wasn't trying to get screwed over. So I left through his backyard and found myself on my old high school football field, staring into the sky, feeling as if the entire universe was breathing with me. I felt as if I was one with the entire universe. This went on for about a half hour when I started thinking about my friend and how messed up he was and thinking about what he could be doing. That's when I realised I had his car keys in my pocket. So I decided to walk back and just drop off his keys. When I got to his house, I found him in the bathroom with his pants down, still wearing the snowboarding boots. He was out of his mind. If you have ever seen someone who is actually insane, this was it. He was literally insane. He kept saying things like 7 years in Tibet or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Anything and everything was coming out of this kid's mouth. This started to freak me out, so I tried to help him put his pants back on, and it was way too weird, so I stopped. I kept telling him to chill out, but he couldn't. Eventually, I got him into a room where he laid down and just kept talking. To let some time pass, I picked up a book I found on the coffee table. I started to look at the book, and after about a half hour I realised I had the book open, and I was turning pages, but I'd never actually read anything in the book. My vision was completely distorted to the point where I couldn't really see anything other than a blur of colours and letters. So by now, he was quieting down, and I thought he had fallen asleep, so I went to leave, and as I was opening the front door, he started screaming. He had never fallen asleep, but still couldn't speak. I told him I was going to have to go home, and that he should call me in the morning when he is straight. So I go home and start watching TV, when out of nowhere I check my cell phone for any missed calls. I see one of my other friends had called, but I figured I should call back my friend on mushrooms first. I call him up, and surprisingly he picks up his house phone and I ask him what's up. All he can say is that he died. He honestly thought that he was dead. He kept hanging up, and by this time I honestly thought he was either going to die or possibly kill himself. I didn't know what to do, so I called back my other friend and told him to come over We got to go to his house and calm him down. He is freaking out. The friend who was coming with me has never had any hallucinogenic experiences, so I warned him that what he was about to see was going to be extremely disturbing. I was thinking it couldn't be that bad, since I have had many experiences before. We walk up to the front door to find him standing in his kitchen with a phone in his hand, completely naked. We go in, and he tells us that there is something inside of him that needs to come out. I suggested he takes a dump, so he goes into the bathroom frantically and sits down, not taking his boxers off to even go. He is completely messed up. He tells us he can't find the water when it's sitting in front of him, so we got him 2 glasses of water, and they were gone in about 15 seconds. After that, he runs upstairs, and I and my friend are observing the downstairs of the house to see the damage. Then, all of a sudden in the distance, I hear a small faint police siren. Piecing together that we walked in, and he had the phone in his hand, I simply asked him if he had called the cops. He tells us he did, and we had no choice but to leave because I'm on probation, and I would have been screwed. We figured the cops could help him a lot more than we could, so we left. As we were leaving, we heard a siren and we drove by and saw 3 cop cars and an ambulance at his house. They were there for about 30 minutes, and I was extremely worried I was going to get my name involved and get screwed. So after all of this, I go home and I'm watching TV, when at 4:45 in the morning I get a phone call from a random number. It's my friend in the emergency room. He tells me I need to go pick him up. This is a problem because my license is revoked and I have no car. I had to go to his house at 5 a.m, find his car keys in the disgustingly trashed house, and drive his car to the local hospital to pick him up. Finally, I got him, and I asked him what the hell was wrong with him all night, and he had no idea what had happened. I have never experienced anything like this until that night and didn't think it was possible, but it was a nightmare that wouldn't end.